Call the meeting to order with pledge of allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call shows that all members are present. Thank you. Item 2, approval of agenda. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support. Motion by Dr. Huff, support by Mr. Schiffer. Discussion. Roll call vote, Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Item number 3, communication. I have no written correspondence this time. Item D, Ovid-Elsie personnel. Okay.
I'm Dan Davenport. For those who don't know me, I'm the technology director here. I'm adjusting the microphone. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents. I know we're talking about superintendent tonight. I tried to write out my thoughts so I won't ramble. I think what drew me to Ovid-Elsie and has kept many of us here is stability. It's my opinion that the stability comes from a conservative financial posture. Money isn't the main decision maker for what we do here, but it sets the timeline for any initiative. It creates stability for us to make changes and keep things from feeling or being unstable. I truly understand the urge to choose a new leader, but I think it makes sense to at least stabilize the business office before we begin that search. Business office manager is a very difficult position to fill in K-12, especially right now. Our best hope is finding a high-quality accountant, a high-quality person who is interested in learning all of the legal and funding intricacies of the K-12 system. And I really believe it could take a year or more to fully onboard and train someone. And we're certainly not the only school district in the state that needs to find that person. That's why I advise the board that the most stable option for us is to ask Dr. Petrolia to stay on until this work is finished. Then we can search for the next leader that we hope for, offering them a stable environment to shepherd. I think asking an inexperienced superintendent to fill that very critical position, as well as the other leadership positions we have open, could leave us floundering. So that's my concern. Thank you for your careful consideration and your service to Ovid-Elsie.
Ms. Parent?
My thoughts were,
Ms.
I'm
Barron,
curious
Can
to
you
know.
come forward?
Mary.
Yep, sorry.
I've never needed a mic.
But you don't have to do something that will like the
They say it here if you like.
That's fine right there. Go ahead.
All right. Anyways, my thought was, what has our interim superintendent done or not done to cause any of you to potentially vote no on an extension of his contract? And my thought is, why wouldn't you allow him another year to continue to see the vision that he has for our school district through? And also to have him stay on board to help with the transition of the new leadership. And then I just was thinking too a little bit about all of the positions that we have. The business manager, the industrial arts teacher for the countywide RESA program, the curriculum director. These are all positions, to my knowledge, haven't been filled yet. We have some unfilled teaching positions. So my thought is to give Dr. Petrolia time to fill those positions with qualified individuals so that we can then focus on finding the best possible superintendent candidate to lead us in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Philbin.
thanks for getting the mic set for me. I'm Jason Tokar, the high school principal, for those of you that don't know. I just want to take a moment of your time to let you know how much I appreciate you as a board and respect the job that you all have. You have to listen to anyone, anytime, anywhere that wants to complain. If anyone can relate to that, I think all of our principals can. First, I'd like to say that I respect Dr. Petrolia, not because he's a doctor, but because when a district he led for almost 20 years was struggling with strong leadership and stability, he volunteered to step in and provide leadership and guidance when he doesn't have to. Last year, we had 5 contracts approved with all of our bargaining unit members and turned a $1.2 million loss in 22-23 into a balanced budget in 23-24. Additionally, he has provided stability while everyone is trying to rock the boat. Dr. Petrolia will be the first one to tell you that he is not the future of Ovid-Elsie. He doesn't want to be here another 20 years. However, he and I share a common value, and that is he wants to leave Ovid-Elsie better than he found it. He did that in 2010, and he's trying to do that again in 2024. I'm not sure exactly how long it will take to help transition a new superintendent, but I know very few superintendents want to walk into a situation where the board is unstable and a ton of our administrative leadership people are either leaving or getting job offers to not be here. When you have great employees, it's important to do a little bit to make sure that we keep them. I get it, we're all replaceable, but not all at once. If we are not willing to do a little bit more for our great people, this is what you get as a result. You have great people that will leave when the opportunity is there. They'll either retire, go somewhere else for money, closer to family, or just get a fresh start to avoid the feeling of not being appreciated or valued. I just know that if a superintendent with 35 years is giving advice on how to proceed in the middle of all of our challenges to keep a quality staff intact, I would at least listen. Hiring people in education right now is extremely challenging, and if Dr. Petrolia has some advice, it may be worth for us to listen to it. On a side note, we have the best athletic director in the state of Michigan, and I won't apologize for that statement. Nobody is putting more into our students than Chris Winter. He has implemented the Marauder Athletic Council, runs our weight room after school, and started our sportsmanship program, among countless other things. All things that were non-existent as well before he got here. He is fully committed to our sports boosters and helping their impact on our athletes and their programs. He's at almost every event with a game manager, even with a game manager. Every administrator I network with in our league and our county talks about the great things he is doing, and it's making a tremendous difference in our students and the reputation of our school district. We need to make sure that we send him and all of our employees the message that this is a great place to raise our family, because when you deal with all that we do every day in this job, it's easy to lose sight of that. Thank you for all that you do for Ovid-Elsie.
Was there any other members that want to speak? Okay. Item 3C, communication for the public. So I'll read a quick statement. Thank you for attending tonight's Board of Education meeting. While the board meeting is intended for the Board of Education to conduct its monthly business, the board recognizes the value of public comment as stated under Board Policy 0167.3. Public participation shall be permitted under the appropriate agenda item as indicated on the order of business, and each participant shall limit their statement to 3 minutes in duration and direct each statement towards the presiding officer. No participant may speak more than once, and we encourage each participant to reach out directly to the administrator where their concern may lay following their statement. In order for the presiding officer to recognize public comment, we ask that you fill out the appropriate form located on the table when you walked in and turn it in directly to me. Thank you. First up is Ms. Sukalik.
Okay, so I attended last month's meeting where Ms. Willie provided an excellent overview of the Michigan Association of School Boards process for selecting a new superintendent. This is the time to initiate the search, allowing community members and district personnel to contribute their insights during the search, and hopefully offering to a candidate in June when school contracts typically expire. This board has faced significant challenges regarding transparency and integrity over the past few years. Once again, we find ourselves with a packed room of community members seeking answers, while school personnel remain in a state of leadership uncertainty and the district lacks a solid business plan, and parents with special needs students are falling through the cracks. Yet last month, 3 of you chose not to take the opportunity to advance the district. I appreciate the comments from school personnel, but last month we heard no rationale from this board on why a contract should be extended. As a member of the community, I challenge last month's vote and formally request that the board chair recuse himself from any future votes concerning the superintendent's contract due to an ethical conflict. Not a conflict of interest as seen in other contractual negotiations, but an ethics conflict. I sought clarification from the Michigan Association of School Boards Council, who confirmed that Mr. Jones should abstain from voting due to a probable ethics violation. To clarify, unlike the teacher's contract, where Mr. Miller, Ms. Willie, and Mr. Jones abstained because of immediate family members working under that contract, in the case of the superintendent's contract, the school nurse, Mrs. Jones, reports directly to that superintendent. Meanwhile, Mr. Miller and Ms. Willie's spouses, as teachers, have an administrative layer that separates them from that superintendent. This is an ethical conflict because any discussions between Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones about the superintendent could influence his decision-making and introduce bias. Mr. Jones does have the option to revisit and rescind his no vote cast on November 18th, and the motion to engage in a superintendent search with MASB would pass as presented by Ms. Woolley. I was told that Dr. Petrolier resides in Dr. Huff's residence a few days a week. And if you live in the same residence several days out of the week, that leans towards an ethics issue as well. And if there's an exchange of rent money, that leans towards a conflict of interest due to personal gain. Folks, ethics are essential for ensuring that a school board operates in a way that earns the respect and trust of the community. The community's trust hinges on the ability to conduct ourselves with fairness and openness. Without a clear explanation regarding the superintendent's contract extension, the process appeared to some to be some sort of manipulation behind the scenes. If there's a clear, valid, or even reasonable justification for the decision not to search for a new superintendent, I believe it would be beneficial for everyone to understand that reasoning behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Becky Williams.
I just wanted to say that when you have a seat on the board, you are a voice of the community. It should never be your own personal interest or friendship that your decisions are based on. It should be what your community wants. It's very concerning to me that you are ignoring what your community has told you in community surveys and what your teachers union had told you 6 months ago. It is concerning that we are moving forward with a superintendent that, according to the state website, has not carried an administrative certificate since 1999. And even if he obtains this, he has still put our district in jeopardy for the last year and a half, which jeopardizes our state funding. We can and need to do better for our students, staff, and community here at Ovid-Elsie. Thank you.
Mr. Sam Frink.
I stand before you today, not just as a sitting village council member for the village of Elsie. However, today I do not represent the village, but as a concerned parent and member of this community. My family, like many others, have experienced the adverse effects, decisions influenced by closed networks and personal agendas. We've seen firsthand how this way of doing business can erode, damage our institutions, and hinder progress. This current lame duck session is clear proof that the community's distrust of the existing school board. The people have spoken. They have elected new members to bring fresh perspectives and restore integrity. This isn't just a routine transition. This is a call for change, a call to prioritize the well-being of our children and community above personal interests. Pushing personal agendas in these final days of power is not only disheartening, it is detrimental to the school district we all want to see thrive. We need transparency, fairness, and a genuine commitment to serving our students and families. Let's embrace this moment to move forward and welcome new ideas and work together towards a brighter future. We deserve a district that we can be proud of, a district that reflects our shared values, inspire trust, and ensures every child receives the quality education they deserve. As a parent, I want to send my children to this school district that fills me with pride, not frustration and shame. Let us commit to rebuilding that pride together, fostering a system that serves everyone, not just the privileged few. Thank you.
Mr. Jeff Kuska.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm here today to discuss the proposed contract extension of temporary Superintendent Petrolia. We have had a temporary superintendent since September of 2022. After Randy Barton left, another temp, I was told by a school board member that Wayne would be coming on as a temporary superintendent. He was supposed to be here for a year, that way we could conduct a search to find a new superintendent. Now to find out that some members of the board are proposing we extend his contract is completely negligent in my opinion. It seems that there is a state of collusion by some members of the board and administrators to extend his contract before new members can begin their term. It begins to raise the question on why this vote is even happening in the first place. The people did not vote for this board to make this big of a decision. We could wait 3 weeks and let the new members decide. Over the past summer, we had 6 vacant teaching positions across the district. In the last half a year, there have been 6 teachers at Leonard that have resigned. At a time where teachers are at a premium, we continue to lose educators. Why? In those exit interviews, if we even have those, I wonder what the teachers said on why they were leaving. Could it be the lack of structure amongst our district? Could it be an administrator that pushed them out? Or is that we keep continuing to give raises to administrators versus our teachers? My entire family went to Ovid-Elsie. My kids will go to Ovid-Elsie. We have deep roots here. It's time for a change. We have tried internal hires and kicking the can down the road, along with empty promises of change yet no results. I'd like to say a quote, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I believe Albert Einstein said that. We need an individual who is not part of this district to come in and bring in new ideas and new policies to the table. No one likes change, but I ask the board to please begin the search. It's time for everyone to put their pride behind them and focus on a better tomorrow for this district. Our teachers, and most importantly, our kids deserve this. Thank you.
Mr. Brian Works.
Good evening, everyone. I've been a 30-year educator here at Ovid-Elsie, and it's awesome to see former students. Now I have parents that I'm now teaching their kids. I had them a long time ago, and I love this community. I've worked here my entire adult life. But tonight I'm not speaking on behalf of myself, I'm speaking on behalf of the Teachers Union as the president. And we were very disappointed collectively at the decision not to hire a search committee last November in the meeting. The role of the superintendent is a demanding job. They must have a clear vision for the future of our district, and they must be a compassionate advocate for all students and foster an inclusive culture. We tremendously respect Dr. Petrolia and appreciate all he's done for us. All right, I'm going to move back here because I'm a little bit nervous. It's really easy for me to talk to kids. Sometimes with adults it's a little different. So thank you to Dr. Petrolia for filling in on an interim basis. We appreciate that and your commitment to the district. However, at this time, we truly feel as a teacher group that it is time to find a permanent solution to this interim hire. Teachers are constantly being asked to embrace change and do what's best for our students and embrace that growth mindset. Isn't it fair that we also ask that of our school board? It's time to find our next leader to help our district fulfill its vision of fostering a caring educational community that will prepare all students to contribute to a global society. That's our school district's vision. In conclusion, I urge you to reconsider the hiring of a search firm to begin the recruitment process for a new superintendent? If not now, when? Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. What I have done here for the board is I put together a document in regards to the business office. And you can see on the agenda, starts out with a written correspondence. Secondly, that I submitted to the board. And then I'm going to talk about the business services. I think it's good for everyone to know really what does a business office do. You know, so often people don't understand all the major intricacies that a business office does. Okay? So I'm going to go over the major responsibilities, and then I'll break it down into some areas under these major responsibilities. I want to give you a list of enhancements that have taken place since C.C. Risa began the business office for Ovid-Elsie. I'll give you a little background on that. We talk about transparency. I can tell you a little background on that. And so those are the enhancements, not just running a business office, but the enhancements that went beyond the normal business office. And then finally, I'm going to give you a timeline for a transition plan that has been put together between C.C. Risa, Ben Schuler, who is the C.C. Risa individual that many of the staff has learned to get acquainted with over this last short year and a half, a little bit less than a year and a half. And then some transition, how to move into a new business office and a recommendation there. So I'm going to start out with, and then take any questions from the Board of Education on that. I'm not going to go into complete detail. It would be a course in business finance for a school district, 101, 102, and in advance. And if you say, what's that superintendent talking about? Okay. I came here in 92, that's 1992, all right? This district was broke. I mean broke. I went over the documents for when I came here in the summer of 1992, and we couldn't meet payroll. One of the first things I had to do is get sufficient funds to meet payroll. I was totally unaware of that. Okay, so from 1992 to about the mid-90s, 95, 96, we were fighting to be in the black, revenue over expenditure, all right? And when I left here in 2010, we had the largest fund balance of most school districts in the state of Michigan. People never missed any pay. And also, we did a lot of renovations at Ovid-Elsie area schools. So that is why I've had experience in the business office. I ran the business office here. And then, a short time thereafter, I went to Clinton County Risa for 11 years. Okay? I had tremendous, great people with me, both at Ovid-Elsie when I was here for 18 years, as well as C.C. Risa. So, I'm not an accounting major, all right? I got my doctorate in education and other areas within education. But over this is my 36th year as a superintendent. I've learned the business office. So I'm going to give you some background of what a business office does. Most people would say, hey, I get a check, all right, every 2 weeks. That's important. So that's in the transition plan as far as payroll. So Ovid-Elsie area schools in April 28 of 2023 came to Clinton County Risa. That's where I was the superintendent. And Mr. Randy Barton said, Wayne, and I don't go by the name of doctor, okay? There's a doctor that sits on the board. He's a real doctor, all right? So Randy came to me and said, Wayne, I'm losing my business manager at Ovid-Elsie area schools. And Mary was here. I met Mary in 1992 when she was just coming out of high school, thereabouts. I think she had 1 year out, okay? And he said, what do I do? I says, well, you gotta put a job posting up. We wrote a job description, and in regards to a job posting, there are business managers really available. I can give you many examples, but you don't need to know those, okay? But business managers are very difficult to find. And once you have your accounting degree, it takes about a year to a year and a half to get school finance done in the training. So after Randy and I talked for a while, I said, you know, Clinton County RESA will develop a plan for Ovid-Elsie for 3 years. 2 years a little bit short, okay? 3 years. And that is all input that I have achieved over 35 plus years, okay? So we put a 3-year report, we put a 3-year business plan together, and in April, the Board of Education hired the CC RESA. As I said, it was a 3-year plan. After the business service agreement between Ovid-Elsie area schools was approved, Randy said shortly thereafter, I'm leaving. And that was said a few different times here. I'm leaving. Within a short time thereafter, I was approached by Ovid-Elsie area schools. By the way, I was retiring from CC RESA, all right? Ovid-Elsie approached me, and since I spent 18 years here, this place has a special place in my heart. And I don't disagree with moving on, all right? Don't, okay? And I tell you one thing, my wife would disagree, okay? But it has a special place, and I said, all right, I will help CC RESA and Ovid-Elsie, me being the superintendent, and I came here, okay? And I talked to Mr. Jones, and Mr. Jones and I agreed upon a contract with the Board of Education. And let me say, as I said, this was a 3-year agreement, but I shared with the Finance Committee of the Board of Education, and that's Mrs. Thompson, Mr. Miller, and Dr. Hoff. I shared with them if CC RESA, each of us had a CC RESA at that time, and by the way, I was at CC RESA. I did not know I was coming at Ovid-Elsie's area schools at that time. Mr. Barton left after that agreement. And, but anyway, meeting with the Finance Committee, I said, you know, there's a 30-day out on this agreement, all right? There's a 30-day out, and I always keep my board president, I try to always keep him in the loop of things. That's very important for a superintendent and a board president. So I said, if CC RESA, because Ben is a young administrator, namely a young business manager, and he was being trained at CC RESA, and also I trained him here at Ovid-Elsie. But it takes about 6 months just to get the training going, learning about Ovid-Elsie. And I told the Finance Committee, I said, if he gets another job somewhere, because they're very valuable in many districts, CC RESA will not approve a continuum. The Finance Committee, remember that for me saying that. And one question was to me, why not? Okay, I said, because they don't have the capacity. All right? So I told them that, okay? But we had a succession plan when I talked to Mr. Barton, and we at CC RESA said Ben was going to come here. The succession plan was to have Ovid-Elsie hire their own business manager in year 3. That would be starting July, all right? So we did have a plan for that, and we still do. Starting in July. In fact, we budgeted for a succession plan. I think the Finance Committee and the board remembers that. We budgeted for that, okay? Well, about 2 months ago, thereabouts, Ben came to me and said, Wayne, I'm interviewing you somewhere else, but keep it confidential. And you have to keep those things confidential. However, at the same time, I'm going to share that information with my board president. It has to be confidential. And it was only confidential, okay? Did not know if he was going to leave. Well, it became official that Ben Schuler was going to leave on, I think, Thursday, November 21, all right? Thursday, November 21. I wrote a letter to the Board of Education. I said, Mr. Schuler or Ben Schuler has another position, actually in his hometown. And you can't blame him going back to his hometown. He kind of said he'd like to, all right? He and his wife both. And so he notified me. I met with CC Risa, and we put a plan together, and this is what I'm going to share with you this evening. The best plan for the Finance Committee for Ovid-Elsie area schools. So that is a little bit of a background that I wanted to provide you. So the board, I agree with everyone here that said the board has to make a decision. They have to. It's a tough decision, absolutely a hard decision. And but they need to make those decisions, and I'm going to give them as much background as I possibly can. Okay, the first thing that Crystal has up there, these are the 7 categories that a Board of Education, expects that their finance business department takes care of. And first of all, payroll. Everyone knows what payroll is, okay? But there's so much in payroll, I'm going to go through a few more details, okay? The benefits for all the employees. We have just short of 200 employees, okay, that expect payroll every 2 weeks. We have salaried people and we have hourly people. And so benefits also. The next thing is accounts payable and the school lunch program. The next thing is cash management. I'll go through that a little bit more, what cash management is. Purchasing, I think most of us can understand you purchase things, all right, all the supplies. I can tell you that payroll, number 1, and number 2, and it could bleed over into a couple of the other part, is about 80% of our budget, okay? It's about 83 to be exact, okay? So I say 80% approximately. Cash management, purchasing, you can understand. Reporting, a lot of work in reporting, okay? And other, like every other thing, there's some that just don't fit into a neat category, so you put that other, and I'll explain that. So those are the 7 categories that a business department takes care of. So let me look at, Crystal, if we would just look at payroll, and I want to pick off just a few of those things, but there's about 11 primary areas under payroll, okay? Now, first of all, I'm a teacher, all right? I've always been a teacher. I went into education to become a teacher. I never went into education to become superintendent, never, all right? In my life, that just developed, okay? But I'm a teacher, so therefore I get a little bit overbearing sometimes in some of this stuff, all right? Someone once interviewed me for an administrative position. They said, what's the number 1 thing that's important as an administrator? Always remember you're a teacher. Always remember. And I still think, even my wife says, Wayne, you explain it too much, all right? But I'm teaching, all right? So I don't have that total time here. But first of all, under payroll, we at CC Risa will be continuing to do about we at Ovid-Elsie will continue to do about 25% of the payroll, all right? But the primary payroll is going to stay, I agreed with, or CC Risa agreed with me, that's going to stay through next school year, all right? Payroll is so important and everything is, but that'll stay with CC Risa for 1 year. But our own business manager here will have to learn that package. So primarily payroll. They issue checks and make direct deposits. Most of how you get paid is direct deposits. There was a day on Fridays we handed the checks to the teachers. I don't know if any, I know Mr. Smith, I think you remember that. We handed checks to the and that still was a neat time because you got to say something, say, hey, here's your check for the 2 weeks. Now it's just automatic deposits. And also number 9 there, if you can see there, you prepare monthly, quarterly, and annual reports. The 941 is the Fed payroll report. If we have any accountants here, do that. And MIPSERS it's the other things that go with pay, all right? Quarterly is on school, we're January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, okay? That's the quarterly that we have for payroll. So in a nutshell, Ovid-Elsie will remain 25% of that for next, I'm talking about next school year, okay? This school year, CC Risa said, even though Ben is leaving January 8th, we're still going to keep everything possible with CC Risa. We'll kind of slide over some to Ovid-Elsie, but there's a lot of planning on that. You can see W-2 reports and everything like that. Let's go to the benefits. In the benefits, we are also going to be sliding that over to Ovid-Elsie, okay? What's so important with benefits, and what I have seen school districts make a mistake in, and you say, how do you know? I've been at the ISD for 11 years. We oversaw much for our local school districts, including Ovid-Elsie. So even during those 11 years, I stayed very close to Ovid-Elsie. But reconcile, anyone that's in accounting, it's so important to reconcile. You reconcile everything more than monthly. I've seen school districts get into troubles. They'll lose so much money because they don't reconcile monthly, all right? Sometimes you even do it more frequently, but you have to stay real close to that. Ovid-Elsie is going to have new employees, enrollment process, benefit change, settlement of employee benefits. I'm just going down 4, 5, 6, and they'll process FMLA issues. All right. So those are the things that Ovid-Elsie is going to continue to do. The third component, major, is accounts payable. CC Risa and myself feel it's very important that bills are paid. That's another thing. In 92, 93, 94, and this is before some of you were on this board, okay? We couldn't meet payables at Ovid-Elsie sometimes because we didn't have the money, all right? So therefore, I want to make sure that it's very accurate for any of the vendors or anything like that for Ovid-Elsie. So they are going to stay with 75% of the payables, accounts payable, for 1 year after this. It's very important that they continue with that. We'll have about 25% of it. We'll manage the vendor files, number 3 there, and number 4, resolution of vendor inquiries. Cash management. What is involved in cash management? Okay? Cash management, that is another thing that's so very, very important. And one of the most important things there is you have to invest your excess funds. And that's where reconciliation comes into much in those cash management. I will tell you, last school year, we increased revenue by approximately $100,000 because we took care of cash management and investments. Prior to coming here, we noticed Ovid-Elsie kept it in the checking account, and the checking account collected close to 0% investment increase in that. I'm not putting anyone down on that. I'm just saying it's an observation we found, and we're finding more. And why are we finding them? Because we have real good experience. And you heard me say we, it's never one individual. Once in a while I say I apologize when I say that. Okay? It's a team, but you invest your funds appropriately. We do that more than at times when things are fluctuating, okay? Sometimes we do it weekly, all right? But as I said, we picked up about $100,000 in last year, and we're doing it this year again. Cash management, and that's where, like number 7, you invest funds, always in compliance with state law. School districts are more than anyone else. We have people, auditors right on us on that, okay? And there is number 8 is the bank recs, okay? It's so important to stay on your bank recs. I know of a school district not too far away, they had fund balance very healthy, and they're close to 0% right now, fund balance, because they did not reconcile. So it's very important that you have a good business department. The other, number 5 would be purchasing, process and requisitions, and we're going to split that off. We're going to move 50% for Ovid-Elsie, 50% for the next quarter roughly. We're going to go with CC Risa on that. All the reporting items, if you would turn up, Crystal, thank you. All the reporting items, that's, yeah, you can even go to the next page on that. That's a long list. Reporting items, there are 21 really areas under reports, okay? And it's the Fed report that we do set, say, ACA, which is a transfer of funds, but you need to take care of that. And when a new person comes in as a business manager, they need to learn that. It's just so many analogies. Mr. Nash, if he sold his farm today for a brand new farmer, he would have to work with him for a while. If Dr. Huff, a brand new doctor would come in, he would have to work with him for a while. Any one of your professions, certainly, okay? So just because they have the degree does not mean they have the experience and the knowledge to work in school finance. So therefore, reporting has all those areas that we take care of, okay? And then there's other, reconcile, general ledger, things like that. So those are the things that a good business manager takes about a year to learn, okay? They get the degree, they get the piece of paper. Most of them will have an accounting degree, if not a very strong finance or a business degree, but it takes a year to learn what this is that I'm going over in 15 minutes, okay? Now, the other part that I think is very important for a business manager is to see over HR also. And I heard someone say exit interview, even if we do one. We do a very minimal exit interview. It has to be much improved, okay? You learn from that. I 100% agree with you. At CC Risa, you say, why are you talking about CC Risa? Because I was there 11 years, okay? We put in a strong HR department, all right? You learn a lot when a person leaves. Most of it's confidential between the person and the individual, but I think our finance or business person has to be also responsible, have a strong strength in that too. So we need to improve on that. Next, I would like to say, if there's anything in your mind, you say, why did you ever go with CC Risa? Well, that's a good question. It was either Ovid-Elsie needed to find their own business manager, which would take a year unless they got really lucky. And believe me, folks, I don't believe in luck, even though I use the word, okay? You create and you train and you have a succession plan. But I'm going to show you some things why it was very important that CC Risa came here. Before I came, I'm sure there's some people say, oh, he was over there. It was a conflict of interest. Absolutely not, okay? I'd say that as stern as anything, all right? When I was at CC Risa, this agreement between Ovid-Elsie and CC Risa, I was doing the best for Ovid-Elsie, and I would have done it for any other of our 6 school districts. So this is what, I just put down some enhancements with Ben, okay? I'm Ben Schuler, and I wish Ben would have stayed. I'm not kidding you, okay? But he got a job in his hometown school district as being a business manager, and even with his experience, he's gonna work under someone else for a little over a year. It's a real succession plan. So, in Franklin, all right? So, they're getting a quality person there. So, these are the enhancements that I think has really done well for Ovid-Elsie. First of all, in the financial system, I don't know if you can read that up there. I need my glasses, but I'm looking at a copy here too. Financial system, we converted from the SDS system in '92. That's a software system. How many people have heard of the SDS system? Okay, Debbie, all right. It was needed updating. They weren't supporting it anymore. We had it in 1992, and we still have it when we came here. We're converting that to the Skyward. And we're about, I would say, maybe 30 or 40% of using all the capacity of Skyward. It has so many good things, like anyone else. Oh, we're going to another software program, therefore it's training. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, you know. Mr. Davenport has even pulled a few hairs out that he didn't have converting over, and he's in technology, all right? But it is a good system, and you have to learn it, okay? So we need quite a bit of training in there. That's going to stay with CC Risa. They're going to train us, and that's what we have to get more training in there. Where I see asterisks there, C, D, and E, establish a database for vendors, establish a database for current Ovid-Elsie employees for payroll that has started. We're not quite there yet. Establish work assignments, org charts, and so forth, codes that we started. Number 2, requisitions and purchase orders. So, okay, we need to continue to work on that for more efficiencies, all right? We just got started in that in the last 6 months. E-commerce is there. These are all enhancements that have provided tremendous advantages for Ovid-Elsie, and it will for years. This is what I mentioned before. If you look at number 8, cash management, since CC Risa and I came here, we have increased our revenue by over $100,000, minimally $100,000. We invest in something in the MyLife account, all right? That's MASB. We talked about MASB doing a search, okay? They also approved this account. Also, cash in Part C. If we had to borrow funds, it would cost you about $100,000 to borrow funds. Many school districts still have to borrow funds to meet payroll, all right? That's a fact. Everything I'm stating here is a fact. It is what has been done over the last year and a half. If we go number 10, if I go to number 10 there, credit cards. All the old credit cards were canceled. Now we're in the Bank of Montreal. Harris Bank has a wonderful system that also was in a partnership with MASB, with MSBO, excuse me. And that has really created a lot of efficiencies. Efficiencies saves labor and it saves money. Audit services, we bid that out this year, and we saved money with the audit service. The board knows we went to a different auditor this past year. I can say without anything, minimally, on number 12, we added an additional $250,000 in 2023 and 24 because of our special ed transportation. And I'm going to tell you, Mrs. Carla Perrin worked on that, but before, worked with it with the business office. but before, we did not have that funds. Those are new funds for Ovid-Elsie. So if you're adding 100 before, 250 here, it's over 350,000 that we've added over the 23-24 school year. So I can just go down so many of them. This is what Ben and I came into in 23-24. When we came here July 1 of 23-24, and I think I heard Dan or someone mention this, okay? When we came here the previous year, Ovid-Elsie had a revenue over expenditure, over $1.2 million in the red. They spent over 1.2 million, I think it was 1.286. I rounded it off 1.2. They started the school year in the black. And you know why? Nothing, not to blame Randy Barton. He was brand new, okay? He didn't have experience, all right? But that's what happens when the central office goes through a transition plan that's not planned, okay? So what happened is we started with a deficit of $1.2 million. That's the end of 22-23. Last year, 24-25, we ended with over a $900,000 black. And that is, it's contributed to each of the administrators, the teachers, everyone is involved in that, everyone. But it has the leadership of the business office with the superintendent. But those are facts. So we stay at about an 18 to 20% fund balance, which is better than most school districts. In this county alone, I would say most of them are under 10%, and some of them are close to zero. That means they're borrowing money. Comments, just a few things that still need to be done, and that's 1 through 5 there. Thank you, Crystal. When I put an asterisk there, that signifies we need to continue to work in those areas. A lot of the Skyward training has to take place yet, and that'll take place over the next year and a half. The last page, I put a timeline together, and that timeline together was put together with CC Risa and Ben and myself, okay? It's a transition plan to move from where we are today, where we exactly are today, till through next school year, okay? And how the board gets there, that is their tough decision. I mean, okay, they have a tough decision, but at least we put this here. And we have 2 new board members in front of us here. They're gonna have to work with that also, okay? So this is the transition, the best I can do today. I call that a living document because the timelines might change a little bit, but the best we can put together as of December 11th. Okay, you see along the left-hand side, payroll, benefits, accounts payable, and so forth. Those are the 7 areas, and then I got a couple other areas below that. But, so the timeline is starting in January 2025. So January, February, March, April, 4 months we brought that in, to put that in a 4-month. Then the middle timeline, the middle term is May, June, and July. That's 3 months. And then the next completion term is for the end, okay? That goes to the end of next school year, okay? Now, I know it's a little bit of August in there. End of the school year is June 30, but that's what I said. You gotta give a month or 2 here or there on that. You notice on the middle of there, right there, you see the middle term, okay? CC Risa, you see where CC Risa is under payroll? CC Risa is going to reduce during the summer months, May, June, and July. They're gonna reduce payroll from 100 to 25 to 75%. Ovid-Elsie is gonna have to pick that 25% up, and I mentioned a couple things that they're gonna be picking up. Benefits, all right? Benefits, over the first quarter roughly, they're gonna reduce it down to 50%. And then during the summer months, all benefits will be in the hands of Ovid-Elsie, everything. Accounts payable, that's the one we're gonna stay with CC Risa through next school year, all right? During the summer, we're gonna reduce that down from 100 to 75% at CC Risa, and therefore Ovid-Elsie has to pick up 25% of it. Cash management, we're gonna reduce CC Risa from 75% to 0%. No more cash management. Ovid-Elsie has to pick it up 100% by the end of July. That's what CC Risa said. We cannot continue, and it's not their fault, okay? They told us right up front, and I told the finance committee why they can't do it is because they don't have the capacity. They could hire another young person like Ben, but that person would take a year and a half to train too. They don't have one. They're gonna have a person that's gonna help us over the next few months, okay? So purchasing is gonna go 100% to Ovid-Elsie. Reporting is 100% to Ovid-Elsie. That's all budgets and everything. We have to get our revised budget for 24-25 and to the finance committee at the January finance committee meeting. And then we have to finalize that in June for 24-25 and have a new budget for 25-26 in June also at state law. And you say, boy, that guy's just rattling. There's a lot of work here, all right? This isn't just put together. We handled $18 to $20 million, okay? When I say other, the Skyward training somewhat is going to stay with CC Risa. They said we will continue with Skyward training. And then I got Skyward training there. You can see that still is going to stay. Enhancements are going to be greatly reduced. And HR personnel is going to be picked up pretty much 100% by Ovid-Elsie. Now, I just want to make some comments. Number one, and they're at the bottom there. Number one, at the December board meeting, I will be, and I talked to Mr. Jones on that, at the December board meeting, I will have a position description is being planned for the new business services, namely an Ovid-Elsie business manager, to be posted, and I'm recommending to the Board of Education that they will approve that new position, because they don't have a position right now. It's held through CC Risa. So that'll be a new position that I'll be posting. I am between pessimistic and optimistic, whatever that word is, okay? I'm hoping we would have a full-time person on board in May, all right, of this year, May of 2025. Keep it up for 4 to 6 weeks. Depends how many people apply. Boy, we hope we have a new application form now that it seems like we get better applications or more applications. So that's one thing we're going to be doing. The transition plan, as I said, with discussions of the Director of Business Services and Ben Schuler Services, their supports will primarily end in July of 2025, this summer. They're going to end except for about 75% of the payroll, 75% of the accounts payable, and they'll continue their Skyward training. I've repeated that a couple times. Folks, if you work here, you're going to get your paychecks. I just want to make sure you know that. And that isn't a light matter. Take that very seriously. So CC Risa said they'll stay with that. That's number 2. Number 3, I really believe, and how do I believe this? Because it's through my experience and working in the business office and as a superintendent. But the new Ovid-Elsie business manager will require extensive school finance training and mentoring through an Ovid-Elsie person, all right? CC Risa, they're backing away. Okay? And they're not backing, they're stepping away. And anyway, for Ovid-Elsie through the 25-20 school year, all right? That's what will take place. Now, just to conclude, this is what I'd like to say. Some people said, I thought Dr. Petroy was only going to be interim. Some people have called me a part-time superintendent, okay? If you ask the people I work with, all right? And the person I work with most closely is Crystal Lawrence, all right? You can ask her on the side, you don't have to embarrass her or me right now. If I'm part-time, I don't know what full-time is, okay, or vice versa. But I came here and I was going to leave after the school year. My wife was sitting in the audience right now. She'd say, let's make sure you do it, all right? But we've been married 62 years, and she knows I've become a little pagan sometimes, all right? I came here over many years ago, and I stayed here 18. I told the board, and the board president, and he's the only one that really knew from me that Ben was leaving, okay? And I didn't even know for sure if he was leaving, but he was interviewing. So therefore, at that last board meeting, and Mr. Jones can speak that for himself, he maybe is the only person that knew, and he could not tell anyone else, all right? Ben did not resign yet from CC recently, all right? You know how employment works there. But I told Mr. Jones, I'm not looking for a job in July 1, okay? I'm not, all right? I'm looking for a trip like the summers on a boat, all right? We call it a boat, it's a ship, all right? And I told him I would be willing to stay one more year if the board wants it, and it's up to the board, okay? I'm not applying for a position. But I've been here for 18 plus 2, 20 years. There's a special place. So I said I would stay. And I had every intention to have the board do a superintendent search. I'm not interfering with that. I will help the board, okay, whatever I can do. But, because I do know a lot of people that they might apply, okay? And so I just wanted to let you know that was my intention to retire, and I still have the intention to retire on June 30, but it's a board decision whether or not they want me to train the new business manager or have someone else. If the board does not a contract for me, I'm just going to say, I really have a concern for Ovid-Elsie business office. I know what happened in 1 year. We went for an even budget, about 10,000 in the black to 1.2 in the red, without someone in the controls with a real experienced person. That does happen. So, are there any questions from any of the board members?
Item number 5, new business. A, discuss retaining superintendent, Dr. Petroy. Are there any motions at this time?
I can make a motion that we retain Dr. Petroy.
Support. Motion by Mr. Schiffer, support by Dr. Huff. Discussion.
Well, I think he's just given a little bit of the ins and outs and difficulties of a budget and all the different competing factions that work within it. And he knows all those items better than I ever hope to, but he's by far the best budget person I've ever had the opportunity to work with. I think that's going to be the best way to keep our school system able to provide what it has in the past. One being stability, that we know there's going to be a paycheck every month. It didn't take long to go into the red in the past, but won't again. But he really truly does know budgets. He has a lot of experience to back that up, and his look into what all the factors are that go into that.
I can appreciate all of the things that were shown to us tonight, and I know that that's a major role, just like the other major roles we need to fill, just like the teachers who have left. And I think that this is something that Wayne does a really good job at. But I also feel like this was a temporary move, and looking back, we were able to bring him in May of 2023. In November of 2023, we were looking at keeping him another year to help us with our timeline and all of the things that we were working through as a board. Then we had the union come in April and tell us that, thank you, but we want to move forward. And being a teacher, I guess I very much hear them. I hear what they're saying, I know what they do on a daily basis. So if they feel like this isn't the best leadership role, that's something that I hear very strongly. So that was back in April, and then throughout the summer, we kept talking about, oh, we should reach out to Lindsay, oh, we should reach out to Lindsay. And then we didn't. And then in August, we did an update at our meeting for what we were going to do for hiring and planning, and what we were going to do for a committee. And then that got sidetracked because of personal issue. And so then in October, we did our meeting with the consultants for MASB. And so then we brought that to November, and then here we are stopped again. And I just feel like we keep trying to move, and here we have the union again, and other community members. I mean, this isn't for Holy's voice, this is what I'm hearing. I ask people to show up to tell us, what do you think? I appreciate hearing any school personnel that tells us, because they're the ones who work here. But I just feel like we're stopping. And I realize he has so much to offer us. But I also believe that there are other people out there that are going to have experience, that if we were to be open to, we have him until at least June or July, but we have no idea. We might find an amazing superintendent who can build a team. It's going to bring, anything that we need to keep supporting and keep moving forward. And I'm very open to that.
Another path, I just jotted down some notes.
We can't hear
You're
you.
willing to stay another year. Your contract is good till the end of June. If we go through a hiring process and you don't find a valid candidate that's good for Ovid-Elsie, we can extend your contract at that point. And the business manager position is still fill that role, even if it's in May. And if we find a super, we were gonna hire a business, HR person, keep you on board as consulting for that year with the business manager. I was just thinking of different paths to get the same solution.
I mean, I got a whole lot to say. I was accused of having him stay at my house, possibly getting paid money and all the rest of stuff. That doesn't happen. He's a friend of mine, and I let him stay there because he doesn't have to drive all the way back home. The reason I voted, some of you say, well, it's all, we had some plans going, and I told Brooke after the meeting, the reason I didn't vote for it last week is because of the fact that I was on the board, the committee that did it years ago to bring Ryan Cunningham in that year with the group that we had. And there was about 3 or 4 groups that we had to decide to choose from, aside for just the one that you guys mentioned. I brought that up last time. Then Mr. Miller, during the last meeting, said, well, we have a superintendent, has anyone talked to him? So that's why I voted no on it. It wasn't from some, back alley talking or whatever. Now, what I'd like to know is, what kind of superintendent is going to want to come here if we have no business office person there with experience, and the pool of superintendents across the state is pretty low? I mean, I look at it like it makes a whole lot more sense that we just gave the guy an evaluation on the board in the 90th percentile, okay? 95 percentile, and that's us here giving it to him, and that. And he has gone from 1.2 in the hole to a balanced budget in a short period of time. If we give him the opportunity to sit here, just like his plan, if we give him the opportunity to continue doing it, and we get a business manager and he can work with them, we don't have to worry about taking a guess and seeing who we got. You guys were at the meeting what kind of superintendent candidates did the guy say that we were gonna get?
Well, he can't predict the future, but
No,
the
I'm not saying
optimal
that,
time
but
is now to do
is
it.
it more like we're getting superintendents?
He
Because
said
I remember
20.
being on this, was it principals that they were getting? I mean, because I know what they said when I was there.
No, it was a lot, and he said that they'll pull 10 out of, because usually we're getting right now between 20 and 30 applicants. And we pull the 10 and present them, and then you guys pull 5.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, did he say that there were gonna be more superintendents that were coming in? Or are there gonna be more principals, or
He
what?
can't
Is
predict
that?
that, but we're looking for those people who are seeking out those roles.
I know that, but that's what they said. I'm just telling you why I voted no on it the other day, and that's part of it. I didn't hear any of that information on there, and I thought, okay, well, we're gonna have a discussion on it tonight, you know? I just look at it like, we saw how quick it went down when we had, Randy Barnes, a good guy, a smart man, but he doesn't have the experience. I mean, look at how much, when he just came and told us about the busing, you know, that we had, that we got that extra 200,000 or 250,000. None of us knew that. None of the other superintendent didn't know that, but he did, you know. I look at it like, we're gambling, I look at it, we're gambling on who we might get for a new superintendent when we have a sure thing here for the next year. He's not going to be around in a year. He didn't want to be around. If Ben would still be here, he would have been gone, and we'd be picking the meeting, just like I would have voted yes and all the rest of the stuff today, or at our next board meeting coming up, to have that committee to do it. But the guy's gone, you know. I mean, just use your common sense. If you don't have a business manager in there, and we start asking for a superintendent, are you going to want to come to that district?
You just stated that you knew that we didn't have a business
No,
manager
I-
before a meeting.
No, I did not. I said I did not know that before that meeting, is what I said. I said, now I know it, he's not here,
And that's
and
what
so,
you didn't know.
so that's exactly what I want. I don't, listen, I talk to Wayne a lot, because he's a friend of mine, okay? You know, just like you talk to your friends and that, and everybody else has friends that talk to. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago, I got the letter, a little envelope that sat there and said, and was complaining about me and some of the other board members on that, and they sat there and said, well, Dr. Huff has too many friends and he knows everybody, you know, and so he should pull himself away, reclude himself from voting in that, you know. I'm sick of it, you know. I mean, we have a good guy. Why would we want to sit here and ask him to help the superintendent when we could just use him and have him? You know, it makes no sense to me at all on this. This is, you know, I get the fact that you want to go on. I get the fact that the teachers union wants to move on in that. I understand that. I get it, you know.
What is
And
the
it-
They are the
district?
backbone of our
Yes.
district.
And what is the district of gambling?
There's a backbone of our district, that's fine, but it also comes down to finances too. And look, what would we have done if what if Wayne wouldn't have come? And we were 1.2 million in the hole, and then we're gonna continue to be more in the hole, you know? It makes it all nice and easy when your finances are pretty secure in a school district. And so you like the finances, and you, Mary, know more about finances than the rest, than I do by far, you know. But, you know, that's my 2 cents worth on that.
I think that moving forward, I think there's other avenues to keep Wayne in our district to facilitate a business manager transaction over the year. And moving forward, because gambling today or next year doesn't change the fact that you're gambling, is what you're stating, is you don't want to take the chance gambling. So what does it change from today to next year?
Is it gambling, or is it just having an open mind? Like, we could end up with no one we like and still offer a contract. But what if we find someone who is amazing and they have these connections, they have this background or this experience that they can say, hey, this works really great for a business office, or hey, this works really great for this. Things that maybe we don't know, we're not superintendents, we don't have that
I'll
knowledge.
use the AD for an example. Chris, sorry. He's known as a unicorn to the school district. We took the chance because we were going to hire somebody in-house. but Chris applied. He does a great job. That's just an example.
That's fine, but I'm telling you, we have someone who already is a 90%, 95, he said, on it, and that, you know. I mean, we're gonna vote for it, that's fine, but I'm just telling you, you assume just because that we're gonna vote him down and go get something else, that he's just gonna be, oh, okay, it's all joy, I'll help whoever else and do whatever he wants, you know? I mean, maybe it's a slap to his face that he's not getting this.
I think when you say that, it's not voting him down, it's voting the opportunity to move forward, some new ideas. Are they gonna have to learn things too? Yes, that doesn't mean I'm voting me, I'm voting. Okay.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I just think, I think we're gonna make a big mistake. If we don't get that trained business person and then go and help the next superintendent get, so we can start applying for the next superintendent and looking for him in September or November or December of next year, you know? So it's not like it's that long. Then we have a sure thing right now.
But we might make a mistake. Look at what happened when we thought we were handling it correctly when we did the superintendent search in whatever, when we hired, we did the search ourselves. We thought we were following the process. We thought we were doing the best we could. When we didn't, I mean, it didn't end up well for us. We weren't trying to be wrong.
Right, because, but he didn't have the business experience. And that's the thing, that if there's a principal or somebody else, are they gonna have that same business experience that Wayne has? No. Let's face it, we aren't gonna get anyone who's gonna be better with business and doing the school district than Wayne right now, just because he has that experience. It doesn't mean we can't get someone that's gonna be good in 5 years down the road, but what happens if you mess up in those first 5 years? That's what I worry about.
Well, I think also it's important that, a year from now, we could be dealing out of a position of strength with the business office as opposed to a weakness right now. That's something that we need to take a look at. And I'll address a couple things real quick. I will not be recusing myself. I voted on a contract for Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Barton, as well as Dr. Petrolia, while my wife was working with the district. I've already talked with legal. I've never had any communication with regards to her contract, her daily work, anything with regards to her work, and I will welcome all FOIA requests to talk about that. No problem with that. So I appreciate that. As far as we keep talking about stakeholders, and I appreciate everybody that's here tonight, and I appreciate the teachers. I think that's important. I think also important is our ad staff. And I had the pleasure of speaking with every member of our admin team today. I spent 4.5 hours today speaking with everyone. I spoke with everybody but 2 in person. Mr. Winter and Ms. Pardee, we had a quick phone call to talk about these things. And I'll just kind of give you the gist. The gist is they're looking for stability. I know we already had a couple members earlier that of the admin team that spoke. It was a resounding majority that they're looking for stability. And the comments were made, why do we need to make a change now when we can make it in a year when we're stable? We can be working from a position of strength. We can have a strong business staff in place. We can have, I think another comment that was made by Mr. Tokar was, we can't keep losing people all at once, right? There's going to be change, but we can't have change all at once. So that's some of the things that are important. I think their voices matter too. I mean, these are the people that lead all of our buildings. These are the people that lead all of our departments. And I think their voices matter too. I think they're just as important, and I think they're a big part of our district. So I appreciate the time to speak with them, and I thank them for that time. But I think that's an important thing that we all need to think about.
I think that's a good point, but they're also a small group of all employees in the district.
Understood, but they're also the leaders of their individual buildings and departments, and they set the tone. And I think they're the direct reports to Dr. Petrolia. So I agree with you, absolutely. But they're the direct reports and they're the leaders of their respective groups.
Yes.
And I think that's important to have a buy-in of the leaders as well.
Well said. Sadly, I think our district has gone through some tough times. We've lost, I guess I don't know the number, how many people we've lost in the last friction between the school board and the school system, and felt that their jobs were no longer secure. And so we lost some really good people. I don't want the exodus to continue. It's been very difficult, I think, for our school system. Very impressed with the people that we've hired in the last 15 years. We kind of worked ourselves into a better position to get people interviewing with us earlier in the year instead of waiting until the day before school started. And we would find out people were leaving, and then we started looking after the summer. The possibilities have all been picked over. So I think our people we still have here are excellent, but I want to keep that level of staff going. And I think we need to show them the stability.
Well, I think that, when you talk about the search, and I talked with Ms. Thompson earlier today, and we talked about whether it being $7,000 to $10,000 spent, and then she talked about it being an investment, and I agree with it. I think the important part to understand there is that's basically a retained search, right? We're retaining MASB to find these people for us. So, we talk about whether Ovid-Elsie is an attractive location right now, or would it be more attractive in a year? I don't know the answer to that. But what I can say is, we're hoping by hiring MASB that they're going to give us a great candidate, right? Then we've got to assume that great candidate, when we bring them in, we need to hope, again, that they're very strong on the business side. That they're going to be somebody who people have already talked about being brand new to the area. Well, this person's got to come in, they got to get their feet wet, they got to learn names, they got to learn systems, they got to learn the area. And at the same time, we need to hope that they are extremely strong on the business side, and they're going to be able to mentor a brand new businessman. So again, hope, hope, hope. So hope isn't a strategy, and it shouldn't be a strategy when we're talking about our kids in our school district. We should be looking, we have an opportunity to have somebody stay on, mentor for just another year, get everything stable, and then go from there. Start your search, do whatever you need to do. Makes sense. That's where I'm coming from, and that's when we talked about the meeting, last meeting in November. That's why I voted the way I did, because I wasn't willing to spend that money of the district when we hadn't had a conversation with Dr. Patel, but I also knew that Ben was leaving. So for me, that was not a strong decision to make. It didn't make sense. I thought we needed to have this conversation, at least have the conversation. That's why we're here. So we're having a conversation. All members present. So that's it for me. Anything else?
I mean, even if we decided, like last meeting, we weren't moving forward with MASB, right? That was where we were starting. We're trying to decide if we're moving forward, not move forward. Why the push to now suddenly extend the contract when we still have 6 months? I mean, that's not instantly. That was again, why do we have to make, if you don't want to make a decision to search, why do we have to make a decision to extend?
Well, you guys have been pushing the search. Go, 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 go. So you're going to have a choice right now whether you're going to keep or you're going to start the search. And you want to start it in February. I believe that was what you were advised, correct, by MASB. So you have a decision. You can do it right now. Let's make the decision whether you're going to keep Dr. Petrolia or you're going to start the search and get the wheels going. I mean, what's the
But
difference?
he also said we could wait till our meeting in January to retain them, and so why can't we wait and see what happens with the business manager?
I mean, you can. There'll be a motion on the floor.
I move the motion on the table.
What?
We have a motion by Mr. Nash, support by Ms. Wood. Discussion. Go ahead.
Lay it on the table.
Lay it on the table. Discussion.
I think that might be a healthy, let us set on it, and we had good open discussion tonight, and let us set, and
Let people know they were heard.
yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, so I have a motion to lay the initial motion on the table. Roll call vote.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 No. Motion passes. Other matters which may properly come before the board, I have none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dr. Huff, support by Mr. Nash. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
All in favor?